let's see here. Write fractions in lowest terms. This is the quick code of ZGT in your 8th grade IXL. And it looks like we're simplifying fractions. Write 3/9 in lowest terms. Lowest terms just means what is the smallest fraction you can get after you divide your numerator and denominator by the same factor. Okay, so we have the fraction 3/9. Okay, so the way you do it is you look for a number that will divide into the top and the bottom of the fraction. And the best way to do it is pick the smaller of the two numbers to decide which factor to use. So the factors of 3 are 1 and 3. You never want to use 1 because we're always going to be left with the same thing. So the only other factor is 3. Does 3 divide into 9? It most certainly does, right? So we're going to divide the top and the bottom by that common factor. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 3 into 9 goes 3 times. And if you want to check, you can always use the reverse, which is multiplication, right? 1 times 3 is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. And we cannot simplify this down anymore. So our final answer is the fraction 1/3. So we're going to jump up a level, and we're at 43 for our smart score. And here is the fraction. It is 3/12. So again, take the smallest number, list the factors, which are 1 and 3. Those are the numbers that divide into that number. Does 3 divide into 12? Yes, it does. So since that is the only other factor, we're going to divide the top and bottom by 3, and we get 1/4, because 4 times 3 is 12, and 1 times 3 is 3, and 1/4 is your final answer. Okay, let's click it and jump up a level here. Okay, we are at 72. Okay, now we have some bigger numbers like 21/24. So process, remember, process is, let's write down the fraction. Okay, take the smaller of the two numbers and list the factors. So I like to start at the bottom. 1 always works. You don't have to write it, but I'm going to write it. 1, does 2 divide in? No. Does 3 divide in? And the way you want to think about division is think about your math facts, right? 3 times what is 21? 7, right? 3 times 7, which means 7 is also a factor, but let's keep going in order. Does 4 work? No. 5? No. 6? No. 7. 7 times 3 is 21, right? 8? 9? No. 10? 11? So once you get to about halfway, if your halfway point is not something that will divide, you're just going to jump right up to 21. Okay? So for instance, if you were finding the factors of 10, once you get to 5, which is half of 10, there's no other factors. You can just use 10 as a factor. Okay, so then start at the top and work down. Does 21 divide into 24? Nope. Does 7 divide into 24? Nope. Does 3 divide into 24? Yes, because 8 times 3 is 24. So this is what we call the greatest common factor, because it's the biggest same number that will divide into these two numbers. So we're going to divide by 3, divide by 3. So what times 3 is 21? We know it's 7. And what times 3 is 24? We know it is 8. So your simplified fraction is 7/8. Okay, so your answer is 7/8. Let's click submit, and then we'll jump up a level. Okay, so where we're going to 85. Okay, 6/48 in lowest terms. So we write down our fraction. We take the smallest number and we list the numbers that divide. Starting at the bottom, 1, 2. Yes, because 2 times 3 is 6, right? Then 3, because 3 times 2 is 6. How about 4? Nope. And again, once you hit the halfway point, just jump right up to 6. Now start at the top. Does 6 divide into 48? Think about your math facts, right? So 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 is 42. And 6 times 8 is 48. So 6 is a common factor. So let's divide by 6 and divide by 6. So this would be 1 because 1 times 6 is 6. And this is going to be 8 because 8 times 6 is 48. So your answer, excuse me, is 1/8. Okay, so let's click submit and then we'll jump up one more time. We're going to use the same process. We're at 95 for a smart score. So this is where the rubber really meets the road here. So we're dealing with some real tough numbers like 128 and 364. 128 and 364. So this is where your divisibility rules are really going to come into play. Okay. One thing you can do, and I really recommend this, when you have big numbers like this, if they're both even, you can use 2 to make the numbers smaller. So I'm going to do that because I think it's a way to just simplify this a little bit. So I know that 128 divided by 2 is 64. Okay, and this is going to be 182. So 364 divided by 2 is 182. Okay, so now I have smaller numbers, right? And again, they're big numbers, so since they're both even, I'm going to divide by 2. Half of 64 is 32, and half of 182 is 91. So now that these numbers are smaller, you can take the smaller number, list your factors, and see if it divides into 91. But here's the thing, 91 is a prime number. So since 91 is a prime number, there isn't going to be any numbers from 32 that will divide into it, which means that 32 over 91 is your final answer.